publicly going after her wonderful half-sister, Samantha.
And suddenly you just have my mom, who's classy and quiet and there, and then you have the other side of my family that is just...
For years, Meghan Markle has worked day and night to perfect this glossy, untouchable image. You know the one, the glowing duchess, the modern-day mother, the fairy tale woman who was supposed to bring love and warmth back into the monarchy. Every little thing she did, from those perfectly staged photos to the carefully timed public appearances cradling her bump, was choreographed to scream authenticity and maternal pride. She sold us this vision, tears in interviews about motherhood, soft hands on her stomach, that sweet smile that made people believe she was living the dream. But all of that came crashing down in a way no one saw coming. Because right there on live video, Samantha Markle, Meghan's estranged half-sister, the one everyone branded as jealous, bitter, and irrelevant, lit a fire Meghan could never put out. And honey, she didn't just light a candle, she dropped a full-on bombshell that had the world gasping.
For a day and a half, suddenly it felt like she was everywhere. I don't know your middle name. I don't know your birthday. I hadn't had her fallout with her. We didn't have a closeness to be able to have that. And
Samantha came out swinging, but not with petty gossip. No, she brought fury that was sharp, cold, and measured, and she aimed it straight at Meghan's most precious identity, her motherhood. Samantha said Meghan's pregnancies weren't just exaggerated, she said they weren't even real. She claimed the whole thing was staged, a fabrication cooked up for the cameras. Just imagine, the world watching in shock, jaws dropping, and then, before anyone could recover, another voice entered the storm. This voice wasn't just any online critic or anonymous troll, it was someone who claimed they had lived it, and that's when this went from messy family drama to a scandal with the power to destroy Meghan's entire image.
The victim of those vicious attacks, Samantha Markle, joins me now to give her side of the story. And look, Samantha, we had Tom Bauer on earlier, who is obviously...
Samantha didn't just say Meghan lied, she called her entire motherhood story a performance. A carefully scripted charade, complete with props and PR magic, designed to tug at global sympathy. For years, people dismissed Samantha as just another bitter sister with a grudge. But this time, her words dripped with certainty, and even Meghan's harshest critics found themselves stunned. And then, as if this wasn't chaotic enough, in stepped a mysterious woman known only as DL. She wasn't there with whispers. She wasn't there with speculation. No, she claimed she had the receipts. She said she was the actual surrogate who carried both Archie and Lilibet. Suddenly, this wasn't just Meghan's family calling her out. This was someone claiming direct involvement, someone tearing down the glossy facade with first-hand accusations.
So she's trying to make out there that she has no form of relationship with you.
Well, that's been the rhetoric so far, and I think, you know, I was never out there saying...
DL's statement hit like a thunderbolt. She said, "I was promised privacy and compensation. Instead, I was erased. Meghan wore a fake belly, and the world believed it." Those words, they landed harder than any rumor. For years, Meghan had been photographed cradling her stomach, glowing in front of cameras, selling herself as the picture-perfect Duchess mom. But now, DL was telling us all that it was nothing more than performance art. And let me tell you, the world could not handle it.
We thought, my brother and I thought, a pretty normal life. But it wasn't until the time of the wedding when the media started to get to us. In other words, we didn't seek out the media.
DL didn't stop at words. She came armed with what she claimed were hospital bills, medical records, even a signed non-disclosure agreement. She said she had been silenced, pushed aside, while Meghan built her fairy tale image of motherhood on her back. For Meghan's critics, this was the smoking gun they had been waiting for. The internet lit up. Old clips of Meghan resurfaced. You remember those? The ones where her bump folded awkwardly when she bent over, or where she clutched her stomach a little too dramatically in public. At the time, it looked like pride. Now, under DL's claims, it looked like acting.
In my opinion, this is what it seemed like. Seal off the hatches so nobody can talk. And almost instantly, it seemed as though dirt was being thrown upon us so that if somebody did speak to us, that
what once seemed like genuine maternal joy suddenly looked like an actress trying too hard to sell an illusion. And the infamous moon bump debate? Oh, it came roaring back with full force. Only this time, it wasn't just online chatter. It was backed by someone claiming to have been behind the curtain. What Samantha set off was already explosive. But with DL stepping in, waving documents and testimony, the drama escalated into something Meghan couldn't simply brush off as jealousy. For years, Meghan's go-to line was that that the media fabricated stories, spun lies, treated her unfairly. But now, the accusations were turned directly at her, that she fabricated her identity as a mother.
That weren't real in the media and always out there. So it's not like we were out there trying to, it was very weird.
And what's so horrible about what she's done in this TV show is she's
And the storm? Oh, it didn't calm down after that broadcast. No, it exploded into something Meghan and Harry couldn't contain. Samantha's accusations alone were jaw-dropping. But now, with DL's confession, with her receipts, her bills, her NDA, it was a full-blown catastrophe. Think about it. Meghan has spent years crying foul, saying the media lied about her, painted her unfairly, made her life unbearable. But here she was, cornered, facing accusations that she herself staged and fabricated one of the most sacred roles a woman can have, being a mother. The irony was brutal, and the backlash, even worse.
particularly going after her wonderful half-sister, Samantha.
And suddenly you just have my mom, who's classy and quiet and there, and then you have the other side of my family that is just acting differently. My half-sister, who I hadn't seen for...
What started as one sister's bitter claim turned into a scandal with global reach. Suddenly, the entire world wasn't just gossiping about Meghan, they were questioning her very identity. And let's not forget, millions of people celebrated the births of Archie and Lilibet. They bought into the photos, the headlines, the glowing stories of the modern Duchess and her happy little family. But now, those same millions felt betrayed. What Meghan painted as a fairy tale now reeked of fraud, and betrayal, darling, hurts far more than any tabloid smear. The palace, of course, stayed silent. But silence in moments like these, it screams louder than words.
Samantha Markle joins me now to give her side of the story. And look, Samantha, we had Tom Bauer on earlier, who has obviously researched both sides of the story, and he's with you. He thinks Meghan is telling porcupines. But let's respond to what she said.
And that's when people started connecting the dots. Remember how odd Meghan's pregnancies always seemed even back then? No traditional hospital photo calls, no proud senior royals flanking her side like they did with William and Kate. At the time, people chalked it up to Meghan wanting privacy. But now, with Samantha and DL's words ringing in everyone's ears, that distance looks deliberate, as if the palace knew, as if they were quietly keeping their hands clean. Meanwhile, Meghan was digging in her heels, trying to sound tougher. But Harry? Insiders say he was spiraling, furious, frightened, storming at staff, obsessing over every piece of coverage, screaming at lawyers to find ways, any ways, to bury the story. And the cruel irony? This is the same man who once stood for honesty, openness, mental health awareness. Now he looked unstable, consumed with rage and fear.
It was being thrown upon us so that if somebody did speak to us, that we would have no credibility. So it was an interesting phenomenon, and this vicious cycle of wanting to set the record straight, wondering what was going on with her, wanting to give her the benefit of the doubt, and still all the while feeling like
Meghan, true to form, went into attack mode. Her instinct. Lawyers. She ordered cease and desist letters, threatened lawsuits, warning anyone who dared repeat Samantha's or DL's claims. But here's the catch. Lawsuits are dangerous because once you drag things into court, honey, medical records come out. Non-disclosure agreements get tested. Witnesses swear under oath. By threatening to sue, Meghan risked cracking the very shell she's desperate to protect. And people knew it. This wasn't just another bad headline. This was existential. If DL's so-called evidence carried even a shred of truth, Meghan's entire empire would collapse.
Wow.
Firstly, wow, what a porcupine. When that happened, also at the same time, we had found out that with my dad's heart attack, the Queen and King Charles wanted to reach out, but we heard that my sister said no. Similarly with this, I just recently found
the glowing Duchess, gone. The humanitarian mother, a fraud. History wouldn't remember her as the woman who shook up the monarchy. She'd go down as the Duchess who deceived the world. And Harry, he wouldn't be Diana's brave son anymore. He'd be the foolish prince who helped cover it all up. That's why the fallout hit like a wrecking ball. Samantha's expose left Meghan trembling. DL's confession left Harry panicked. And the rest of us? Shocked out of our minds. What had once been painted as a dreamy love story, a royal fairy tale of motherhood, was now being recast as one of the biggest deceptions in modern royal history.
I wanted my kids to be raised with their grandparents because I didn't trust babysitters. When I was dealing with disability and having to work, I didn't know anyone in Los Angeles well enough that I felt safe with that. So I felt like I was doing the admirable
because you're in a
thing.
wheelchair, Sam, and you were going through.
And the world. Oh, the world wanted answers. The Sussexes couldn't just hide behind silence or spin or lawyers forever, because scandals, they fade. But betrayal sticks, especially when it's betrayal of millions who once cheered for you, believed in you, defended you. So here's the million-dollar question. Should Meghan and Harry finally come clean about Archie and Lilibet? Because Samantha's live takedown cracked the glossy shell, and DL's chilling testimony shattered it even further.
Was lied to, and my sister, in fact, was the one reportedly who told Ashley she couldn't go to the wedding. So I felt like she was manipulating my daughter, lying to her. And that's really sad because my daughter seemingly was holding a grudge and feeling like I was the reason she couldn't come to the wedding.
It's as if Meghan is now trying.
Think about it. For years, Meghan paraded around, cradling her bump for the cameras. She sold herself as the radiant Duchess mother. But if DL's story has even a grain of truth, those weren't maternal moments. They were performances, scripted, staged, fake. And if that's the case, then the public has every right to feel betrayed. Meghan and Harry now face the hardest crossroad of their lives. Do they stick to silence, praying the story burns out? Do they keep firing off legal threats, trying to intimidate the press? History shows us, though, silence often looks like guilt.